Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have BioLargo Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol BLGO and is a clean tech and life sciences innovator and engineering services solution provider. Please welcome its president and CEO, Dennis Calvert. Nice to see you, Dennis.
Anna, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
The floor is yours. Call me back when you're ready for questions.
All right, we've got a great story for everyone, and thank you for taking time to dig in with BioLargo. The more you dig, the more you're going to like it. We do have a lot going on. As an innovator, we've been practicing innovation for over 16 years, and we have a number of technologies that are finding their way to market now, essentially have de-risked them, and now we're monetizing them, and we have a whole portfolio of additional technologies coming to market. As our slogan says, we make life better. We're focused on innovation for sustainable innovation to help solve some of the biggest problems that face our planet. It's a big calling. And we do have some big ones we're really tackling, which we're proud of. How do we focus on air, water, and earth? Of course, all things sustainable. We also have a little medical product line. We'll talk about that. Our strategy is really simple. We invent it, we prove it up, and we partner it. How do you change the world? Well, you do it with good partners. It's a big world. You got a lot to do. So we're going to show you a series of innovations and how those are getting to market. Of course, we remind everybody of the safe harbor statements. We will be talking about some forward-looking statements. Those are protected under that safe harbor. Rely on the K and the Q for full risk factors and all of those things that go with talking about the future as a public company. And of course, we'll also be looking back just a bit on some of our financial performance metrics, which are awesome. So who are we? Well, we're innovators and scientists, a lot of engineers, a lot of scientists, passionate about doing something important for sustainability and human health to make life better. With best-in-class solutions. And again, I can't emphasize enough, best-in-class. That means the things that we focus on, we believe can be number one in the market as a disruptor to change the way things are done to make life better. Very engineering-centric, and we focus on problems that really don't have good solutions. And so we're going to share some of that. Now, there's a lot, as I said, in the portfolio. The way to think about the company is at the parent level, BioLargo, we've got finance, strategy, innovation, right? Engineering. We've got an R&D team up in Alberta, Canada, on the University of Alberta. Then we have 4 operating units that are commercializing. They're exploiting the innovations to develop commercial traction, and they become the place at which business deal making happens to develop commerce. Okay, and that's very important because in each of these operating units, we have a CEO and a team that run those businesses. We do everything in our power to help them, of course, and we're intimate in all the dealings. But it really is important because we recruit often subject matter experts to take the lead. So in that portfolio, Clear Medical, long development cycle, massive amount of money invested. That product's just now finding its way to market, and we're in the midst of negotiating with global partners, just as our model says. And once those global partnerships occur, the revenue forecast and the performance just has such an exciting acceleration, which we've experienced. We're going to talk about that with O&M Environmental, odor and VOC, volatile organic compound control. Very technical business. One of the products in there is a household product that's used for pets, and there's a brand that's out. It's called Poof, P-O-O-P-H, Poof, Poof.com. If you haven't seen the infomercial, you got to see it, so go to Poof.com. This is Poof. They go through a whole pitch, and it's breaking records all over the country. It was first launched direct to consumer, then Amazon, of course, and Chewy. Now it's in Walmart. It's being on a national rollout, probably in about 2,400 stores or so, rolling out over time, breaking revenue records for them and for us, which is awesome. And the exciting thing about that product is there's another 12 plus national retail accounts already committed. So there's a significant expansion on the table now that will drive revenues for both our company and our marketing partner, which we're going to talk about the detail. We also have a battery technology to compete head-on with lithium, and it's designed for fixed-site batteries, long-lasting. The industry calls that long duration energy storage, and it's got a feature group that lithium can't match, mostly in efficiency, domestic supply. We'll go through a little detail. And then there's our PFAS solution, PFAS, developed by our engineering team, just now going to market. We just got notification of our first big win, which is so exciting. And that's about 3.5 years of R&D now going to market, huge backlog. And so, again, think about all these things going on. There's science, engineering, focused on that mantra, invent, prove, and partner. And each has some strategic relationships and partnership that we think will be meaningful. Now, on the financial performance, Q3 is really another record-breaking quarter in so many ways. And we didn't finalize numbers yet, as you might imagine. It's early. We need another couple of weeks to finish that at least. But we wanted to make sure that the investment community knew that our revenues were continuing to climb as we had projected, early part of the year. And that's important because Q1 was a blowout record at 73% quarter-over-quarter increase. I mean, massive. Q2 was a little step back because we had stocked up all this inventory to support the Walmart rollout. And then Q3 is now back in track. So dip now back in track, and again, more expected. So again, 88% through Q2 of last year's revenue. Q3 assures us a record year, and year over year, we've been experiencing about 100% growth rate or more. And we expect that trend to continue for quite some time, especially as some of these new innovations come on, because it's going to take the whole portfolio to pull that off. All righty. The thing that's important about all that is the SG&A is pretty static. The baseline overhead, which is our staffing and all our team, is pretty well covered. And we've been teetering right on the edge of positive cash flow and profitability, really. Still not a profitable status, especially when you consider non-cash with the options and all that. But we think that what we're doing with the existing business and a few hits here and there, and then the continued expansion with Poof has a chance to take us to profitability in a pretty short term. So we're very excited about that. SG&A is relatively static. That's the message. Net cash, same thing in cash. Use of cash. And I want to point out, we'll show that in the next slide too. We almost have no debt. We have $300,000 or so SBA loan, 3%, 30-year. Incredible financing, of course. We're thankful. But the point is, no toxic debt for sure. No debt on the books. Cash in the bank. Really in a great position to continue to support this growth and watch these technologies find their way to market and really perform. And many people really believe that the history of all the suffering to get these technologies well situated and developed fully for adoption in the marketplace, that most of that pain is gone. And thank goodness. Now it's time to reap the reward. We've been planting the fields, the fruit's now bearing out, and it makes everybody pretty excited about the company. There you go, net shareholder equity. And that's the last report. Again, we'll take a look at this next quarter, but it hasn't moved too much. And so 4.12 million as of the end of Q2. At that time, about 3.3 million or so in the bank, which is good. So decent cash position, no debt, almost cash flow positive, near earnings, near profitability. That's the message. So this Poof, we talked about that. Go to poof.com. Again, you got to see the infomercial. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's so compelling. And the thing that's, so great about this product, number one, it works. Number two, it's super safe. And the pitch, the messaging is safe for people, pets, and the planet. It's true. And it practices what's called oxidation. So oxidation is going to break down chemical components. It literally breaks down the components that make the odor. So it doesn't come back. And so what our marketing partner at Poof and their founding company, Ikigai Marketing Works, they developed a strategy and a program to exploit the idea of complete odor removal. Really unheard of in the marketplace, a gap. And they just execute so well. And so our partners have significant personal success in building billion-dollar brands. And they came to us and said, we think you got $1 billion product here. And we said, we do too. And so we did a business deal. And that business deal is we supply the product at wholesale. They buy it from us. They then turn around and retail it. And we're on a cost plus with a little 6% royalty. And of course, we also bargain for 20% of the brand equity upon exit. So we'll participate when that product is eventually sold, probably to a global multinational. And it may be much sooner than we anticipate. They have just blown out all the records. They've signed another 12 plus national retail accounts. They expect to be in over 20,000 stores sometime around the end of the year. I think logistics are important, so put a little bit of measure of caution there, because just as we witnessed with Walmart, one of the nation's leading retailers, it takes time, and it's not something we can control. So when we target end of year, first quarter, it all just happens over time. And once it finds that, you're talking about 10x increase in the number of stores carrying the product. It's a big deal Big deal for them, big deal for us. Yeah, there you go. That covers it, right? And so again, national retail accounts. What they've done so well is build the brand awareness through this direct marketing. If you haven't seen the infomercial, you're not watching TV because it's everywhere. So please take the time, and it's so compelling. And of course, it's the real deal. The next really shining star. We have a number of shining stars. We're not going to be able to cover them all today, but I do want to talk about PFAS. So if you don't know about PFAS, that's the forever chemicals that are all over our environment, sold for 50 years with big names like 3M and DuPont. Okay, by the way, there's a number of others, and it's a class of chemistry. You know, American Chemical Council says it's something like I can't remember the exact number, 4,000 plus chemicals make up PFAS, PFAS. That's a class, and it turns out that some of those are really dangerous, especially when they accumulate. They're made mostly for nonstick coatings. They've been used for 50 years. And literally, they're all over the world. I mean, they're in your water, they're in your body, they're in your food, they're in the soil, they're in the air, they're in the atmospheric cycle, they're in the polar ice caps. They're measuring PFAS. It migrates with water, and what happens is they don't break down normally. So the nature's natural degradation process, they've kind of fortified. They're built to withstand that. Well, it turns out a little bit for a long time that it can accumulate, never goes away. Is not good. You know, as one of our founding inventors, Ken Code, always told me, starting this company, he said, you can't mess with Mother Nature. And PFAS kind of messes with Mother Nature. You know, it's doing some things it just shouldn't be doing. And so it turns out, of course, in accumulation, they're linked to birth defects and cancer. The largest tort reform case was just settled. 3M agreed to about, I think, $10.2 billion, largest in American history. It's a big number, and there's more coming. It's not done. Anyway, the regs are tightening, and the punchline to that is you got to get it out. And so we focused on building the most excellent collector. We also have destruction technology, but the thesis of our value proposition is pretty basic, and that is if you can super concentrate the contaminant, collect it, then you can manage its destruction and removal. If you can't super concentrate it, then you have this massive waste stream. Well, the incumbents that help are being used now that are the old technologies, or things like carbon and ion exchange. And there's this massive differential in the waste. In our product, where a truckload of spent carbon might be 80,000 pounds, catch that, we might be 2 or 3 pounds. It's a 40,000 times less waste stream. You know, as ours fits in a little case, theirs fits in a truck. What are you going to do with all that waste? That's a hazmat, especially with the new regs coming in. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. If you can concentrate and super collect, then you can manage this removal product in an efficient way. So we developed what's called the AEC, and of course it's going to save money, and it works in a number of different waters. We've done about 13 trials. We just got our first commitment for our first customer, which is a municipal client in New Jersey that specified us into a bidding project. That means that they've chosen us. Then we go out to general contractors, and that's being finalized as we speak. So it's not on go yet, but it's about to be on go, and we're confident that we're in a nice position to move forward. It's also a smaller system, which will be a nice start. We have a whole marketing team now. We've got over 100 reps covering the country. We've got 8 channel partnership agreements. We've been developing those over the course of about a year and a half. The backlog of opportunities is so significant. And of course, this is an early adopter stage. It's important that people recognize, you know, you get 1, then you get 2, and then all of a sudden you got 10, and then 10 turns into 40, and on it goes. It doesn't just happen with hundreds overnight, because there's a lot of process. You got to build these things, and scale is critical. There's a little unit on the right. That's the AEC. And what those units do is there's an electric field, water flows through it. You migrate the PFAS by pulling it to its opposite charge, and you attach it to a membrane. So in the lingo of the engineers, that's selective extraction. Selective extraction allows us to then get useful lifespan of about a year collecting PFAS. In fact, the energy that's used in the process kind of degrades the membrane faster than it can fill up. Hence, we end up with 2 or 3 or 4 pounds worth of waste, as opposed to 80,000 pounds of the competition. It's a dramatic value proposition, and it's kind of unheard of. And so far with all our testing, we believe that we're the only technology that's proven the ability to achieve a non-detect status. That's a big deal too, because now the regulations are pushing detection limits down to 4 parts per trillion. 4 parts per trillion. That's like 2 or 3 grains of sand in 4 swimming pools. It's such a minute quantity that's being regulated. So how do you get those little grains of sand out of 4 swimming pools? Do you have to treat all 4 swimming pools? See the problem? Are you going to take out all the other salts? Are you going to collect those? What are you going to do with that waste stream? It's now hazmat. It's got PFAS in it. So what we're proposing is selective extraction is the most efficient, economical way to take this out of the environment. And we got a backlog of business that's very exciting. A lot of interest also from the investment community in this asset. It has a chance. Most people think of it as probably one of the more strategic and timely assets in the portfolio to solve a really massive global problem, and the opportunity to move in, with success and with all the right things that happen, move it in, into the billion-dollar category of opportunity. So it's a big deal. And so we're doing so much marketing. We're now teaching engineers and continuing education classes all over the country. WEFTEC just shut down this morning. That's the national conference in Chicago. And again, just such an incredible welcome. And we're speakers. We were at the Gabelli conference 2 days ago. We have so many conferences, we don't have enough people to cover them. So it's really awesome because it allows team members who've been doing this for 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 years to rise up and really help get the message out in a great way. And then the question, of course, is how do you scale this thing? Well, there's the answer. You take those little units, they're modular, portable. You want to do more water, you do more units. It's that simple. And so that would be the size of a small building. That'd be about 1,000 gallons a minute. That's a commercial layout of what we've already built and what you saw in the portable unit. And so this New Jersey project's exciting. There's a lot more. And so it'll be nice to get in the field and get the commercial validation necessary for people to know confidently that we're ready for market the way we know we are, which is good. So, and there's, we talked about a couple of the battery technology is awesome. It's earlier stage. The medical, lots of work, little bit of revenue and big deals in the hopper. I think the story for the medical becomes so vividly real when those partnerships are put in place. So we're working hard to get those done, and we're very optimistic and confident. We believe they will happen because the product is a game changer for the way physicians might manage infection control in the surgical suite. Okay, big need for that. Okay, so revenue growth is pretty consistent. We're in a good cash position, of course. SG&A relatively static, not a dramatic amount of money required to continue growing revenues. We've got 2 analysts that have initiated coverage, both consensus undervalued. Of course, the market's a tough time right now. Operating income from O&M sufficient to carry the whole company, and it's driving up. It's not there yet, but it's close, and we believe it's coming in the near term. PFAS is a strategic, rhetorically billion-dollar opportunity, and it has a potential to be there. And then, of course, we've got diversity in the portfolio that's awesome, built on leveraging partnerships. That's the critical thing. There's the analysts. You're welcome to reach out to the company as well. It's info@biolargo.com or DC, that's me. Also, Alex at biolargo.com. He helps with our corporate communications. If you want copies of the analyst reports, we welcome. You can also reach out to the analysts. And we like these reports. They're a good summary. They grasped it. In particular, Dick Ryan has been following the company for over 7 years. And he says, I've just been waiting for you to get ready to go commercial in a big way. So that's an accurate summary. We're here now. So then in conclusion, we're a family of companies. We really diverse, very science heavy, very engineering heavy, focus on big challenges with innovations that have a chance to change the world for good. So very mission driven, of course. And we're enjoying ourselves, and the staff loves what we're doing, and they're extraordinarily skilled. And so let's open this up for questions now and see what we have.
Great job, Dennis. We do have some questions for you. Sure. Barry Park asks, when you say you're near profitability, how near are you? And do you have guidance?
Well, we don't really, I'll tell you, every time we start talking about guidance, we kind of get kicked in the shin pretty quick. And the reason, we do want to keep it real, right? So what's real? What's real is a lot of our business relies on other people when you have partners. And so in particular, I'll give you an example. We have a Garrett Callahan relationship, and we had anticipated being successful commercially sooner, and we haven't. But now we still believe it's imminent. And so, but the street's pretty brutal. They're like, is it real? Is it going to happen? And so this is the nature of our business. We know it's real, and we know it's going to happen. And what you're really witnessing is the degree of difficulty in finding market adoption for innovation. It's not easy. It's an incredibly difficult, and we got 5 or 6 going all the time. But see, here's the thing: the innovations are that good, and the partners are really good too. And once you break that model, then you can really expand. So, what I do know, and this is the guidance, is that we believe Poof's footprint in retail is going to go up 10x over the next 3 to 6 months. That'd be a good start towards profitability. They have to do it, and it has to happen. Okay. And I believe in the next 3 and 6 months, if that happens, then we have a good shot for heading towards profitability. In addition, we got a bunch of big projects. Now, when you get a big project, let's say it's $1 million, that's pretty big. Not huge, but pretty big. That's 6, 9, 12 months worth of work. You don't book all the revenue till you fulfill it. So there is a stretching out that will occur in some of these capital improvements. And some of the financing for capital leases might accelerate that, but still you got to perform. So there's a logistical thing that's occurring. Now, here's the good news. The swell of interest in those is so significant that it really, in our opinion, in my mind, it's now just a matter of time. And so we keep executing. And then this Q4, with the increase in sales and what's going on with the Poof, we think has a good chance to come into another record quarter. So I'm not ready to tell you when we're going to hit it. I just tell you all the pieces are in motion that can make it happen. And so, again, be confident in that. And then relative to the timing, we're going to do our best.
Thank you for that. Joe Falk wants a little bit more specific, if you can talk about the expected revenue with some of the products you mentioned, AEC, AOS, Clara, and the Poof products.
Well, again, I appreciate that. And, the question of, we can talk about what they look like in principle. Forecasting revenues is not even possible. The Securities and Exchange Commission makes it really clear, and that is forecasting without historical performance is inherently misleading. And we don't want to do that. Okay, so that's a problem. Now, what we know in the PFAS, for example, is these products will go from a range of about 500,000 as high as $7 or $8 million projects. And in those, we price ourselves competitively with a reasonable margin, but not aggressive because we're entering, new markets. And we have a little margin on labor and a little margin on equipment. And that's the range. So then you say, well, how many could you do? Well, we've probably got 7 to 10 million in active negotiation. Okay. So if you landed them all, that's probably a year or so worth of revenue, right? We've got behind that another 15 million in discussion. And behind that, literally, there's about $100 million worth of projects that are on the list. On the list just means they're really interested. You got work to do. And, also partnerships to form. We've got some in place, but we've got more coming that'll allow us to scale to that kind of level. Plus, you got logistics and manufacturing. And we will outsource. Often we outsource production. There's a lot of excess capacity in manufacturing that we can leverage as opposed to invest in manufacturing. So, again, I know everybody wants these hard, fast forecasting. It's just not feasible for us. It's not feasible to do that. What we know is that when we find a win, like we found with Poof, that the profit, the cash flow, and the revenue acceleration is so dramatic that we expect it to happen with all the assets in the portfolio. So I hope it's a roundabout answer, but it's frankly about as good as you're going to get. But I'm open to debate on it.
Was there a Korean partnership that was supposed to happen?
It did happen. It just hasn't really made meaningful revenue yet. And so again, this is one of those examples where we have a great partnership, really wonderful partners. We believe in them. They're experiencing what we experienced 9 years ago. It's hard to get new technology seeded in a market, and they're doing the right thing. So they're continuing to work it. They're advancing. It's also expanding. I mean, there's a lot going on. Hard to forecast because we're reliant upon our partner to pull their load. And when they do, we're going to profit with them, which is really great. We also think they're high integrity, skilled, very technical people. So we'll keep you posted as it unfolds.
Elsa Lee asks, how is Poof currently being sold? Are you looking for a distributor to get into major box stores and websites?
No. Well, so first of all, we don't control the selling of Poof. So Poof is managed by Poof Inc., which was developed by Ikigai Marketing Works. Okay, so Poof Inc. is a company. They buy product from us. We're a wholesaler. So Poof controls the branding and the distribution, which is a good situation for us. That's our model. That's the way we do business. So, and they're highly skilled in this area. So they control branding and they control retail selling throughout primarily North America. And they're working with the who's who of retail accounts. So if somebody wants to talk to them, you can reach out to Poof and talk about potential developing business with them, which is fine. But that's not our role. And it's allowed us to then go from a obscure idea to a product to now significant revenue coming after a $1 billion market. And we believe it will, again, it's rhetorical, but that is a product that can go to $1 billion in revenue. And so how do we know this? Well, it's after one of the leading products in the market does about 1.2 billion in pet odor control. This is a big market. And what we've done is taken a relatively obscure market, odor control. It's not very sexy, not very high margin, and turned it into an extraordinarily consumer-based product with aggressive marketing and distribution and margin. And it's a very exciting time. So again, that's the way that we want everyone to see our company. Our mission is to find a channel in which we can see those technologies go become disruptors. That's what's happening at Poof.
We have a few questions about the AEC. Matt asks, how will you grow AEC, and talk about your sales team and how they're being kept incentivized and motivated pre-revenue?
Yeah, sure. So there's a couple of things. That's a good question. The AEC is, let's make sure everybody remembers what that is. That's the AEC. There you go. The AEC is a innovation. So that's a patent pending design that we have. Patents are in process. We believe our intellectual property is as safe as it can be at this stage. Once it finds its way to market, there's a number of components. Engineering services is one of those. There's a design element. That means you're working with customers to make good decisions, to make sure it works for them. There's a testing component. So we do a testing process. We test water preliminary. We come back with proposals. We then do scale and pricing. We do proof of claim. Then if really big systems, there might be an interim step of a commercial pilot. You might do an on-site with the mobile unit. It depends on the magnitude. We know it works, but sometimes customers need to touch it and feel it to know it works. That's fine. We're happy to work with that. And then we have a membrane exchange and a service program that goes with the sale. All right. So there's two categories on the way this goes to market. One is through reps. So I don't know how many contracts. I want to say 10 or 9 rep agreements representing about 60 some odd reps. And then we have channel partners. Channel partner, in our mind, our lingo, is a selling organization that already has the customer. So they're bringing us in to their customer. We might even be a subcontractor to them, which is not uncommon in this industry. Like a big engineering firm that holds a contract with a big client, they say, we want our client to have the best. They help the client choose us. Okay, so that's how it goes. Now, it's all so active and so sort of already activated that now we have a backlog of opportunities that is so significant. Now, relative to compensation, you pay commissions, of course, and bonuses. Internally, we're such a small organization that there's this massive sort of opportunity for expansion of careers. And so people are highly motivated. I mean, this is the passionate of their career. And the company exudes that all over them. It's just, I always go around and say, how are we doing? It's like, what do you mean? How are we doing? I said, well, how are we doing? And really what we hear a lot is it's the best job they've ever had. And so you say, well, how can it be the best job? Well, because they're going to go out and make an impact. They get to bring innovation to a market that's been stodgy and slow and hasn't seen dramatic innovation in a long time. That's very exciting. And really, as it succeeds, there's so much money, everybody's going to do just fine. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you for that. Sophia Keller asks, is there a non-commercial application for AEC, or is it solely for municipalities?
Oh, no. It works in all kinds of water, groundwater, wastewater, leachate. It also works in drinking water, of course, and industrial waters. And there's, some of these industries use PFAS on a continual basis, so they need to have a system attached to their wastewater stream. There's also remediation of soil, and typically when you do soil, there's a combination of washing. You wash soil and you leach out, and then you treat the water. So the AEC can work in all those environments, all different types of quality of waters. And so, no, it's a very broad market. Hence why we have so many channel partners. We've got one that's firefighting foams. They want to do right. Firefighting foams are extraordinarily concentrated with PFAS, and if you're doing anything around firefighting foams, you got an issue. You got a storage. You got a leaks. It's leached into the soil. I mean, it's a mess. And think about that. That's every airport. That's every Air Force and military base in the world, and every heliport. And it just goes on and on and on. Big, huge industry. Plus, drinking water alone. Now, drinking water gets the most attention today because people drink water with PFAS in it. That's not good. And so it gets a lot of attention, And it's a highly regulated market. But PFAS removal is not limited to that market whatsoever. And so we have a bunch of activity in various markets. And, so the answer is big market.
And a question from Dan Pop asking about he says there was a lot of curiosity and interest at WEFTEC. WEFTEC? Okay. Yeah. Were municipalities aware of AEC or not?
That's a great question. We have quite a bit of marketing activity that goes on, and we're out beating the drum. And so some are, some aren't. I mean, it's one of those. It's a contact sport kind of thing. The word is getting out, and I think municipal clients who aren't watching the trade, who don't know what the competition, they're not engaged at the industry level like we are. So a lot of participants in that level may not know. They're doing other things. They may be sitting on city councils and all these other things that go on. So the engineers should know. But again, engineers are typically focused on what they already knew, not what's new. In other words, known technologies like carbon. They say, carbon will take PFAS out. Well, does it hit 4 parts per trillion? No is the answer. And there's all kinds of problems with that. Like waste stream is massive and it channels. And so, these are very technical conversations. So what we're doing is we're training engineers. And so I don't know how many now. It's got to be probably 300 or 400 or more have been through these classes. And we're doing more and more. So we're actually leading the education charge, as is industry and litigation. But all of that kind of compounds. Look, the market, we used to say it's a $10 billion market. Well, it's a $60 billion market. Now people, you know what they say? It's $1 trillion market. In fact, we saw an estimate last week where the estimate for the total fix would just exceed 13 trillion. I mean, this is, and then they say, contaminant of the decade. How about century? There's never been an environmental crisis like this one in the history of the Earth. So, so we're going to make a difference, and it's a big market, and a super small percentage is billions. Okay.
Bob Anthony asks, what applications does BioLargo intend to use their manufactured batteries for?
Good question. The battery is focused on what the industry would call long duration energy storage. Long duration means it's going to last a long time, and it's really built for volume, like offloading the grid, offloading renewable energy and storing it, right? So like solar, you'd fill it when you can, use it when you need it, right? EV charging stations is a great example. When you have an EV charging station, as they continue to multiply all over the country, which they are, if you can buy energy cheaply, like at night or in the off hours, and use it in peak, then batteries make sense. Okay. And so all of those are great applications, and ultimately will be in the garage or next to the garage at the house, offloading solar and storing so you got backup plus emergency use. So what it's not really designed for, and we may find some market because in that portfolio there's more than one technology, but it's not really designed and targeted on the very crowded market for EV batteries for cars. Really designed to be super light and flexible and have all this. These are a little heavier. They're a little dense footprint, right? So it's got some weight and mass to it, but they last a long time and they got incredible efficiency. Just to point out, lithium batteries generally, they say charge to 80%, discharge to 20%. And the reason they say that is because the technology itself has an exchange of ions across a membrane at the electrode. And what happens is it builds up a little deposit. It's called a dendrite. And those dendrites accumulate over time and they diminish the battery's capacity. That's why they don't last as long. Okay. The battery that we're sodium sulfur has none of that. We go to 0 to 100%, 100% to 0. It's fine. Not a problem. which means there's no working parts. There's no oxygen inside, no moving parts. All it is an electron exchange with electrochemical technology. And so that alone allows us to then source domestic supply with no geopolitical concern, no lithium, no cobalt, no nickel, right? Literally, the components you can buy at Home Depot. Now, not in mass, right? And to spec, right? So you got all that to deal with. So we believe that we're actually building a pilot facility now in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We raised a little bit of money last quarter, and we're now putting that to work, building out machinery and a line, and we're producing prototypes. Once the prototypes are in our hands, we can then continue testing, of course, for proof of claim, but start to negotiate with distribution and partners. I think we'll find distribution pretty quick. You know, we went to the marketplace and tested it, and the response was pretty much universal. How many can you make, and when can I get them? So it puts a lot of pressure on me, I know, but we do believe it really sets the stage for a dramatic opportunity. And let me just point out, you don't need to retail them. What you would do is you'd sell it to the EV charging station producer. The company that's going to put EV charging stations in, they become the customer and the partner, because they're buying for a toolkit to make an installation at a site that's all capitalized, and that becomes a component. So we're a component supplier to a system. That's what that battery's for. Same thing for the grid or grid scale, right? We have the ability to supply grid scale tools that don't have runaway fire risk. And, you know, I don't know if everybody knows what runaway fire risk is, but look on the internet, go to an internet search, runaway fire risk, lithium batteries. These things blow up, and they blow up a lot more often than you realize. And so when they're exposed to heat or damage or oxygen, they got a problem. And if they overheat, they start popping. We have none of that. So safety, domestic supply, long duration, efficiency, and we think there's some cost advantages too. Without the lithium and the, all the other rare earth elements, we can compete at some level on price too. But I don't think that's the key. I think just like our others, it's an education challenge. We have to teach people, because they get in their mind, lithium's the dominant player. It's like, you don't want these lithium batteries all over your buildings. And they're very expensive. And they have a supply chain backlog that is unbelievable. And so there's literally billions of dollars being invested by the government to shore up alternatives to that sort of demand. The good news for Tesla is Elon Musk has built an industry. It's awesome. And it's opened up the world for electrification, which is awesome. We just want to bring a tool to the process to make some components better, to make life better. So we think we got a winner.
Well, a brief follow-up with that. Jeff Collier wants to know, how did these products evolve? How did this start?
As a company, that's a big question. Geez.
I know. Answer if you can, Dennis. It is fascinating, though.
It's a big question. Okay, well, so it started, the company started, I met Ken Code, Joe Provenzano and I were together, met Ken Code, and he had this innovation, which was the first chemistry that helped create the odor control products and some of the medical products. Okay. And what struck me when I met Ken is this passion for impact. Look, I'm not a kid. If you want to go do something worthy. You only got so many hours on this earth, right? Make an impact. If you can make money and make an impact, then everybody gets so excited, and that's the way we are. So all this journey, which is a long one, we've known that the things that we do are going to make an impact for good, and they're going to make money, right? Maybe what you didn't know is how hard it would be. I mean, because it was very difficult to find our way through all that jungle to now find success. The good news is that's behind us. That's for the investors too. Investors suffered with us as well. It took a long time. People would have anticipated success. In that evolution, what we learned in the innovation cycle, of course, is that the adoption cycle, crossing the valley of death, that's when you go from early adopter to mainstream adoption, is extraordinarily difficult. It's written about all the time. And it's a psychology thing, because people don't want to take risk. Got it. We have to de-risk technically and commercially and psychologically to get mass adoption. Well, so while that's happening, the thing that's unusual is that we continued innovating. We didn't just do one. We did a whole portfolio. We had 8. We got 8 technologies, 4 commercial units. It's now a whole portfolio. And then over time, we got extraordinarily highly qualified people. Okay, so now fast forward after all that. Now what happens is every week we have a big team meeting and we sit on a Zoom call and we say, okay, and we take a little inventory of what's going on in the world and whether any of the assets or the knowledge base that's in our portfolio has a chance to make an impact. That innovation is continuing. So what you see is the things that's gone through the gauntlet of the furnace and refining and now ready. And what you haven't seen yet is the portfolio behind it. This company is going to go on for decades, and I'll be gone, and they'll be doing it. They'll be doing some more of it because you know what? The world needs people like us to bring innovation to make life better. There you go.
Absolutely.
So that's how it happens. That's how it happens.
Well, thank you, Dennis. We have one more question, and you can use this to kind of wrap up. The question is from Joe Falk. Is there a catalyst or milestone that is needed or projected to boost sales?
Sure. Well, POOF is already happening, right? So that's good. And then we just talked about its massive retail expansion. So that's a big deal. Remember, everybody, that can take us to profitability for the whole portfolio. One product. The AEC, sure, you got to get your first commercial reasonably scaled unit. And that's in process. And we think this New Jersey account can get us there. There's some others. But the bottom line is nobody wants to be first. You got to kind of work your way through it. And of course, we guarantee it all. And if the clients are in, we're going to make sure it works exactly the way it's supposed to. And we know it does. And we've done enough work now with 13 trials. So, but opening the market, sure. Get the first one under your belt and show the world that you can do it. Okay, that's what we're doing. So that's in motion. And then the battery, I got to get prototypes. I can't even forecast yet. I got to get back. We got to get prototypes. Got to get them in front of the hands of the potential partners. The medical is really simple. We've got big partners in the process. We're very optimistic and really confident. Now, we're not confident in the calendar yet, but it's a lot closer than people realize. And so what's the catalyst? Get the deal done. You look at what POOF did. Now, what's this one? This one's going to be a lot bigger than that. I mean, it's a big one. So anyway, that's the answer. The answer is we're going through extraordinarily detailed processes with partners and channel and customers and distributors, and working through the process of adoption, and one begets another and another and another, and here we go. So the good, again, as I just want to reiterate for everyone that's really watching, the hardest work is already done. So now we reap the fruit and we don't mess it up. I can't say it enough. Don't screw it up. It's so good. And we paid the price to have technical excellence and beyond reproach. This is fully accountable technology. And we've come so far as a company, the way we do that. We have very skilled people and with a breadth of historical knowledge plus the current and data to support these claims, critical for emerging technology. So it's the best time ever. Balance sheet's never been better. I'm anxious for it to be better, but at this moment, it's never been better than it is. So it's pretty optimistic. Well, thank you so much for your time and presentation, Dennis. We'd love to have you back in the future with some updates. Awesome. Go BioLargo. Thanks. All right. Thank you, Dennis. Okay, everyone, stay with us. We'll be back at 1:00 Eastern with Next Tech. We'll see you soon.